Hi, lovelies, and welcome back for today's journal session series, episode 2, season 2. This session is all about finding balance in areas where you might be juggling too much, where you might need clearer boundaries, or where you might be called to actually lead your own life. It's about organizing the power that you already have. So today we'll be talking about discipline that feels supportive, structure that protects your energy, and manifestation that's grounded in action, not just intention. So if you've been feeling pulled in different directions, this one's for you. Get a cozy seat, your journal, and your pen, and let's dive right in. So question number 1, where in your life are you juggling too much, and what would it look like to choose stability over constant motion? Pause the video or audio here to write out your answer. I like this question because sometimes we can't see the areas in which we're overgiving or burdening ourselves, sometimes taking on more than we need to. Balance is something I've been really big on cultivating, especially lately for me. I know I've been so overwhelmed. And so finding ways to make my life easier on a day-to-day, whether that's changing up my routines, whether that's taking on less work, or just finding time to pour into myself, really helps me to stay centered and be able to perform at my best. When you start taking on too much and just burdening yourself, it starts to overwhelm your nervous system. And once your nervous system is out of balance, it's a lot harder to feel grounded and to feel safe in your environment and in your body. So going over the areas in your life in which you can maybe take a step back or maybe take on less will really help you to bring back in that peace and that balance and stability into your life in your day-to-day. Question number 2, what truth have you been avoiding that if you faced it honestly would set you free? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. It's so important for us to get real and honest with ourselves when it comes to questions like these, because sometimes we get so caught up in our day-to-day that we don't take time to actually identify things that we've been feeling, things that we've been holding on to, things that we've been suppressing. And so this question gives us really great insight into what it is that we're holding on to that's no longer serving us. And it can be easy to hold on to these things and to ignore it because of the fact that we may not always be ready to face what it is that we're coming up against. But once you do, it truly does set you free. So taking that time to identify what it is that you've been trying to avoid and just getting real with it will also honestly help you see that it's not always as bad as you think it is. Sometimes you just have to face that thing and acknowledge it in order for you to be able to move past. And this is something that I've even been feeling lately because I've noticed myself kind of slipping away from certain responsibilities or just not wanting to look at certain things and aspects about myself that I've been needing to heal, to work through, and that have been coming up because it's been so triggering. But once I finally take a step back and I just pour into myself in that way, I'm patient with myself, honest with myself, and identify what it is that needs to be fixed, needs to be healed, or needs to be worked on and addressed, I immediately feel so much better. So this is also just your reminder to do yourself that favor in not holding on to what it is that you are trying to avoid and directly face it head on. It sometimes is heavy, yes, but holding on to that is much heavier and it costs you more in the long run when it comes to your mind, your spirit, your emotional state, and everything that it is that you're building. Question number 3, if you fully stepped into leadership of your own life, what systems or boundaries would you immediately put in place? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. Now, it is time for us to step into our boss status and become leaders and bosses of our own life. And with that, it means that you have to conduct your life and yourself as somebody that truly loves, cares, and appreciates themselves. So when you think about the highest version of yourself, how does that person show up for themselves? What types of boundaries do they put in place? What types of things do they incorporate into their life and their routines? And how do they act? How do they carry themselves? What is their mindset? So when we talk about taking leadership of our own life, that comes with setting more boundaries, putting more things in place that protect us and our well-being, and becoming somebody that is serious about their peace, their love, and their happiness. To give an example, I know for me personally, when I started taking back control of my life and stepping into that leadership role of my own life, I really had to enforce more boundaries. Being a recovering people pleaser, somebody that kind of didn't really put myself first or really even care about my own needs, I really had to enforce those boundaries and become somebody that does take care of themselves, does prioritize my needs. And in a sense, just becoming the main character of my life instead of moving and conducting myself as a background character. So this is also even about taking back your power and your control and knowing who it is that you are and moving as such. So this is really about looking at those areas in your life in which you don't feel fully satisfied or you feel as though you need a change. Question number 4, what small habit, if done consistently for the next 30 days, will completely shift your trajectory? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. I really want to say do not sleep on those small habits that you do, because sometimes it's the smallest things that you change that make the biggest difference. So I know for me, for example, that's the way that I start my mornings. A little change that I've been making is making sure that I make my bed every morning, because sometimes I'm just ready to get up and go and do what I gotta do. But I've been making sure to make sure that my bed is made. Another small habit that I've been incorporating is starting my mornings without being on my phone as much. Now, me personally, when I wake up, the first thing I do is I go on my phone, I check my emails, I go on TikTok, I go on Instagram, I go on YouTube, I go on everything possible. And that's not always the healthiest way to start your morning. It's really good to start your morning in silence, starting your morning by being present, by expressing gratitude. And that one little shift makes such a huge difference in the trajectory of my day when it comes to my overall mindset for the day, how I feel, and just starting my day on a better foot. So that's why I really want to emphasize the importance of starting with those small habits. And I say the smaller ones because starting out with shifting your small habits helps you to build better, bigger habits and better discipline as well. Sometimes when you just start to cut out certain things that you know are not good for you, that are things that you've been struggling with for a long time, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to work through breaking those habits. But when you can start small and build your way up, that makes a huge difference. And last but not least, question number 5, what do you already have within you that you've been underestimating, and how can you start using it intentionally? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. I definitely saved the best for last with this question, because it's time to stop shrinking yourself and start playing into your strengths and your talents and abilities. Your authenticity, your talents, your abilities, and all the things that make you you will make so many doors for you and open so many opportunities for you. But when you're dimming your light and you're not fully stepping into your power, it's really hard for you to attract those things that you really want. You start to do a disservice to yourself when you don't acknowledge your strengths and perform to your full capability. And I know that sometimes too, it can stem from being scared to really put yourself out there or scared to be who you are in your full entirety. But one thing I can say is that as you continue to put yourself out there and get more comfortable in expressing yourself and your gifts and your talents, it gets a lot easier for you to be able to step into your full power with confidence and with certainty. And especially with us going into the year of the horse, that means that it's really time to take action, to get inspired, and to put yourself out there and start making way towards your dreams. Be confident in who you are, be bold, be courageous, and be so firm in your belief about yourself that nothing outside of that can shake how you feel. And step into your full power and the authenticity. Take your power back, call all of your power back, and become who it is that you really desire to be. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's journal session. I hope that you found it insightful, healing, and helpful. If you did, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace out and much love.